Nicole Cohen, here. Pat Rooney. Joe Navarrete.
Here. Please stand for pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, so could I get a motion to review and accept the agenda for this session?
I move that we review and accept the agenda for the session.
Second.
Okay, Terry?
Nicole Cohen.
Yes.
Roger Smith.
Yes.
Joe Navarrete.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to review the agenda, and I think I'll turn over to Diana.
If you have the agenda for next week, our plan is to do some recognitions. We will be recognizing Jenny Sotner as the National Rural Teacher of the Year. We are also going to recognize the K-12 Foundation donations. The actual item on the agenda for Calvary Baptist, they have just let us know that they will not be able to be there, so we will be recognizing them at a later date. And then Kelsey Ballant will be going over information about the school live kiosks that have been put in. And LHCEA, did you have questions?
On the kiosks, I do.
What?
So when did we put those in?
That happened, I think, at the end of last year.
It was at the very end of the school year. I noticed they were in the front office by the administration.
She was at a conference, I believe, from what I heard, and saw that these things it's kind of an interactive type deal.
Yeah, I went online and looked at it.
And so pretty cool. So she's been working on that for about, Missy, you helped her with some of it, I think a year and a half or so. Mm-hmm. And she finally got that installed and stuff. So, and one of the things I think she mentioned to you was the negotiation of that whole thing, because it's, on a lot of the districts you get them for free, but then if they break down or whatever, it's your bag to fix them. And I think Missy negotiated with them, and they said, well, we've never had this before in the country, but they went along with it, and that was that if something is malfunctioning, they come in and fix it free of charge. So that was kind of a big deal for us, because we want to make sure we didn't have any expenditure towards it.
So what are we using them for? I mean, because I watched all the little videos on it, and there's lots of different ways they're used. So what's our intended purpose? Because I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get into the whole thing, and I think that's what the presentation is for, as to how they're using it. I know the channel.
That's my understanding. She's going to come and explain all of it and share that with the board.
Okay.
I don't have any more information than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think most of it is like announcement type stuff. I know that they're using it for that, and and a positive thing, because I know that I heard from Jenny about the student government and that they're trying to put like positive things that are happening in the school on there. Okay. So, and any of the teachers that have things, or any of the clubs, they can put that stuff on, so it's kind of on a loop type of deal.
Do we know if we're using it for advertising at all?
I do not know.
I don't think
Missy?
Oh, yes, we are using it for advertising, because that's the whole point of this thing. They do use it for advertising, and if in other words, if they have a thing, you get $1 off a Whopper, okay? I'm just making something up. If you get $1 off a Whopper, you can, if the kids do something where they take the code or whatever, and they use it, the school makes money off of that. And that goes into a fund. And that could be used for anything on the campus that they need to use it for. So it's a way of generating some income without really costing us anything. And it's also something that we can, use to our advantage. So
Maybe we can make sure that Kelsey includes all of that information in her presentation.
I'm just surprised that I didn't hear about it before they were already installed, and we're getting the information after they're installed and in use, because we didn't vote on this as a board.
No, it's a school thing.
I know, but it's a data thing, and they use it for data, and now it's advertising, and you know how I am. I have a big problem with all that stuff. So I just wanted to know what we were using it for, so I'll wait for the presentation.
Buzzkill.
Yeah, I just hope that we're not going to give this teacher a problem because she's a real go-getter, and I hate to
Well, that's why I'm
rain on
asking
her
here
parade.
now and not at the presentation.
Yeah, okay. So if there's anything else you want to know,
I'll
ahead
talk
of
to her
time.
about it after the fact, or I'll talk to.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, on the consent calendar, the items that we have are the minutes from the last meeting. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes? Also from the special board meeting. And the work session. That's a lot of minutes in here.
Oh, I have a question. I don't even see it on here, but maybe we're not doing it this one. We're not doing the recognition of the teachers, the new teachers.
That's the next month.
So we're doing that in September for all of them?
No, one is secondary, and then the month of October is, one is elementary, one is secondary. We're doing one group in September and one group in October.
That's like really far into the school year. We usually do August and September, don't we?
That's the calendar we've always followed.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Because they're so busy in the classroom this first.
Really? I thought it was August and September. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. That's actually, the next item is if there's anything that's pulled from the consent agenda, and then after that is the personnel report. Questions on that?
I was looking at the date.
We will go back to the action items in green, so they're easier to find once our new printer's up and running.
Okay. Because, yeah, this is like, now I know we were using stickies.
Yes, we did have a problem with our switch over for the printer.
Okay.
After the personnel report is the approval of vouchers. Any questions there? Then we have gifts and donations. These were the gifts that were received in July.
We usually do that. Well, they're in the consent, but then.
At the end, I go over.
You know, we had gifts and donations from, I think it was the K-12 Foundation, and it was for art and music. Remember when I asked you about that? It was like a $23,000 donation.
I'm sorry,
For music and art.
right.
But it wasn't, it didn't say it was designated, or it said it was designated to the high school, and I questioned why it was going to the high school instead of the elementary schools.
This
But-
last, the 23 was in December or last year?
No, it was like March or April, I think.
For this year?
Yeah.
Okay, because they just gave a donation in high school, okay?
28,000.
Of 28, so I think that was for the prior year, the 23. Part of it, one year they decided to give it to the elementary and the next year is the high school, but this last year they gave 3,000 to each elementary, and then they broke up the music and art of $6,000 some dollars, and they gave like $3,200 to each group.
But that, when
So
she
it
was
went-
acknowledging that, she didn't say it was for art and music. She said it was for anything they wanted to use it for. Didn't she?
This most recent one was just anything to the school sites.
Right.
The music and art one was designated for music and art.
Right.
And I only know this because I visited the meeting yesterday afternoon, and they were talking about the fundraising that they had done for the art and music. And those groups had designated those for art and music, but I don't know whether they were designated for any specific school level at that point.
Well, there was 6,000, I think 62 or 6,300, and that was broken up between music and art, and it was elementary for the first time. The second time it was the high school, so they choose different ones each time. I know I was just working with Hannah on those amounts that she has available, so I know that they break it out, but
Yeah, I guess it was from last year. I got an email on May 27th on it. So, but it was from the last year before. I
right,
guess.
right.
So did they designate that went to the high school?
Uh-huh.
They
The
did.
first year, it was for the elementary, the second year was for the high school.
Okay.
And then this last year, they gave, I think it was 4,000 for the middle school, and that was for capturing kids' hearts, 6,000 for the high school, and 3,000 each one of the, it's 28,000 altogether. That's what they call it.
The next item is board policy on the budget deadlines and schedules.
I had a question about that. You see, was that something that we got from an SBA or ASBO, or is this something that we just changed, or what was
I
that?
don't know how they treat you guys, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but,
You're asking about the deadlines, if this is something new, since it's
No,
going to
that-
come from ASBO or?
no, that's something the state requires, and it's a guesstimate. They just want to make sure you don't forget things and you kind of pencil them in. It's subject to change if you have to. It's just like, you have to have like the AFR done before October 15th with our week in there, it's just scheduling those type of things, so. That's not new, it's been in existence, that calendar's been in existence.
It just gets revised every year. This just gets revised every year.
It's just a housekeeping thing, like at the beginning of the year
Yes.
we do?
Yes.
Okay.
The next item is a new job description, and is the approval for the new job and the job description for a school psychologist assistant.
And just so the board does know, we've not been able to fill the two openings that we have for school psychologists, so this is us trying to make a plan to make their job more manageable and provide support for the two that are trying to do the job.
And we actually move into the action items, which are all the same color as well.
I feel like we've gone over this action item like 50 times.
This is this particular policy. Well, it's all new to me.
Just wait till next month.
Yeah. So we do have the student discipline policy.
Excuse me.
After that is the support staff sick leave policy, which is coming back with no changes since the first reading.
I have a question on that one. So it says the unused portion of the accumulated sick pay, it shall accumulate without limit.
Right, which is how it is done already.
I know that.
Oh, okay.
But that creates a consequence for us when somebody's been here for how many years and then they cash out at the end. What is the max? 4,500 or?
It depends, 4,000, if they're not retiring, if they're separating and they've been here for 15 years, it's a maximum of $4,000.
Okay. When, Wouldn't it make sense to maybe adjust this since we're changing the policy and have a cap for budgeting purposes? Wouldn't that make sense to not?
You mean lower that $4,000?
Well, it says without limit here, which means, yeah, lowering the 4,000.
Well-
Maybe there should be a cap, a limit to where
The
you
limit
have
is-
to.
Oh, it
Cash
to roll
out.
over?
Where
'Cause
you,
this just means they all roll over.
I know. I understand that, but you don't know in a given year if you're going to get hit with 40 teachers that are all retiring, they're separating, and they've saved their 4,000. Or if, I know my husband, he has to cash out every 3 years.
Well, and once upon a time, we did allow people to receive a dollar figure when they hit that 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year milestone, and we took that out of their sick leave to do that, but then the board chose not to do that any longer for budgetary purposes also. So we were trying to attack that from that perspective at once upon a time.
So it's not an issue for us to let it go for 15 years, and we're budgeting for
So
that?
you say if they leave the district, the maximum they can get paid for their sick leave is $4,000.
Correct.
If they retire, then that rolls into the retirement system?
If they retire, there's a completely different schedule. There's a completely different formula based on how many sick days they have and the number of years they've been here.
So there's a cap then?
So, yeah, there is. And for instance, if they're just separating, again, they have to have been with us for 15 years, and then depending on the number of days they have, they're paid, up to $4,000. So, I don't know. Missy, do you want to share about how much of that is paid out each year? I don't think there's not
It
really.
hasn't been a lot. If the downfall in changing that particular aspect, and I understand what you're saying for, budgeting purposes, they have to give us their notice. What is it? There's 2 different ones, for certified and for support
In
staff.
January, they have to let us know when they're
Right, and so
separating.
we can budget for that
Okay.
for the prior year. The other piece is if you tell them they're not going to be able to carry forward so many, you're going to make sure they use them. And that sometimes presents a problem too. So the earn and burn is really tough.
Okay.
The next item is 5.1, which is the student trip to Indianapolis for visual communication students. It's just for the journalism convention.
Are they just having the parents take them? Or, it doesn't look like they're asking for it. Oh, they are
CTE.
taking a bus. Okay, sorry. CTE bus.
Next is policy KF for community use of facilities. Next is the governing board and administrative travel.
I was wondering about this. Is this because of the agenda on the first part of the conference? Is talking about, restroom use and all that stuff.
It's talking about,
Like restroom use and showers and,
yeah, there's
and that's a
some,
real, yeah.
on the pre-conference. Normally, we wouldn't necessarily go to the pre-conference,
But
but there's.
because, and I was just
couple-
wondering, I think Denise was the only director that was going,
Uh-huh.
but I'm wondering about Aggie. Is that something, because isn't that something that isn't that your bailiwick as far as,
Well,
I hate to say that, but that's, In your,
I kind of stepped up at the end of last year as part of the superintendent duties. It was a new area because it really is one of those things that has traditionally been under Roger Berger as the title, but this is way beyond the scope of what we've had before in the title, and we do need to have a director taking that leadership piece. So we have talked about that at directors and brought it to the team. So, but I do know that I don't have all the current expertise, and it's something that's just forming at this
That would be
time.
fine, right?
I'm just bringing it up as
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if that's something that, if you think that that would be helpful to be at, then,
Yeah. This is a new area for our district, so.
yeah. Not one that we like to have to visit, but I'm sure it's going to be more prevalent in the future, so.
So would we,
We could amend this if you,
That's my question.
can you make this meeting?
I can make this one because of the date piece. Just later in September, I have issues with.
Okay. So, I don't know if you, I just throwing it out there for food for thought. If you think that's a good thing, Diana, then we'll.
that would be good?
That I'll be happy to let Denise take the lead on the transgender for the district.
You want to do that, Denise?
I dealt with it at the high school several times.
So, you guys can talk about it, and if you want to add it, then we can just just change this
Okay.
piece for the meeting. If you
So
guys
we just
want.
provide an amended item here, is that what we do?
Right.
Let's see.
Yeah. I don't care. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
That's good. Works for me.
We'll still have access to all the materials.
Absolutely.
Right. Actually, now they don't even give you the books anymore, so everything is online.
Right.
So.
Actually, one of the things I would like to do is do a presentation for the board on the things that we've learned here. So have it on the agenda afterwards. Okay. Item 5.4 is the deletion of 2 of the programs that were receiving tax credit funds. They are from Thunderbolt and from Lake Havasu High School.
So maybe by Tuesday, I'd like to know what the total amount in the no preference account is and what we use that money for.
The total amount in which?
In the no preference account, which is where I guess closed accounts are moved to.
Sure. The no preference is a site-based type of thing, so each site
It's
has
school.
its own no preference.
Okay.
And so I'll just ask all the principals to talk about the no preference and what they would use it for. A lot of times at the high school, they'll use that for any club or organization that might not have received enough funds if they went to some competition or something like that, but I'll ask them to provide you that. Because that's not something that our department handles. We manage the money as far as putting it in and.
That's fine. If it's staying at the school site, that's fine. When I'm reading this, it looks like there's one account
Oh,
that
no.
anything that closed goes
Sure.
into that, and then I
There-
wondered what that was used for.
Sure. There is one account at each school site
Okay.
for their tax credit. It's all
Okay.
managed by the sites.
Five point five is the pay for performance plan for the school year for 16-17. Is the interagency agreement with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. This is a contract for occupational therapy services.
So We approved we approved a couple just a few months ago, so we're just contracting with them.
Because of the actual amount of the purchase, that's why we had permission. We did actually approve one, and then they broke the contract, so that company, we don't continue with that contract. They weren't able to fill it, so we didn't even replace that.
Is that
So,
Therapia?
yes, I do believe it was therapy and VOT, so that is correct.
Okay.
The person let us know they would not be honoring, and they were not able to fill it, so that no longer will be discussed.
Okay.
Is this a higher amount?
It is a little bit higher rate than what our RFP is, that we went out to bid for, but we were able to procure under the AZ Safe contract, and it is under the AZ Safe contract.
8,000.
And the next one is also a contract for occupational therapy services. Quite
Same.
We hadn't filled one. We had two positions. One of our employees did leave the district, so we're filling that position. We couldn't hire. We've been contracting one throughout the last several years.
And then the last item is 5.9, which is the interagency agreement for behavioral specialists for elementary schools.
I have a question, and I wonder if it's a good idea. Just throw it out there, but, you know, there's been talk about, you know, the schools say they need money for bonds and blah, 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 but they're out there doing blacktop. And then, you know, they got new TVs in the school, and all that we're taking care of with the presentation. But, and then we have all the AC things going on with those trucks and everything out there. I think maybe under the superintendent report, maybe we should give an update on some of those projects that were done over the summer and what's happening with our air conditioning and the fact that School Facilities Board is paying for that and the fact that our adjacent ways paid for our blacktop situation and whatever else, if anybody could think of any other item.
The nurse's office, which was approved and funded due to our ADA issue that we had, was just completed through the School Facilities Board, so
Over at
recent
the
project
high school.
But I don't think anybody sees that.
Yeah.
I haven't, that's not on the radar. Is that on your radar?
No.
I don't even know if I would mention it because then you're
challenging.
just going to
The
create
big thing-
more.
the
It's
big-
the stuff they can
Yeah,
see.
the big thing are the air conditioners,
And the
all of the
blacktop.
blacktop work, and for your information, we've just started putting a roof on Starline. And so that is also School Facility Boards has funded that because it was desperate.
Oh, the other thing about Starline, and I was wondering about the thank you on that, is the, you know, the paint situation. Is that done? Is that, like,
Yeah, it's done.
it is done, so I wonder if we should
The Sherwin-Williams.
talk to Mike about,
Sherwin-Williams, yes.
yeah,
Doing the recognition for the,
for Sherwin-Williams and whoever else he wants to. It may be short notice for him, and we may need to do it on the next one, but we need to get that in. And anything else anybody could think of that we need to address? Have you
The
heard anything?
donations. The donations. I have an email here from a realtor. They're getting ready. First, they want to know where to make their school supply donations and monies to foundation. Well, monies to foundation, just K-12. I can tell her that.
Right.
But there's a lot of talk about all the different donations, so maybe we could speak to that. And then I've got people asking me, if all these donations are taking place, why do we still have these long lists of supplies? So maybe we need to clarify what kind of supplies are being donated. Maybe there are more teacher supplies that are being donated versus...
Yeah, not even, I mean, like, for instance, like, even, I'll take it, my granddaughter's classroom. They had a list of everything that they needed to bring in for supplies.
Right.
And one of the mothers said to my daughter, you don't actually have to do this. Because, you know, they said that if you don't do it, it's no big deal. Well, it means that if you can't afford to do it, that it's going to be provided, and that's where those donations come from, where they have to pull that stuff. And then the parents that can afford to do it are doing it. Most of them are doing it. They bring in the stuff, and then it's, you know, and Ginny just told her, well, I would like my daughter's classroom to have this, so I'm donating. These things are for my daughter, but these things are for the classroom.
Okay.
So, and the teacher had a list, and then you could just pull whatever you wanted to donate for the classroom. So there's always, so the point is, so no kid goes without.
Gotcha.
You know, you've got a kid that's, you know, your kid comes in with all the markers that they need, and this kid doesn't have any, the teacher's going to make sure she gets them.
Okay. So are there additional individual classroom lists in addition to each school list that's at Staples? Do you know? Does anybody know?
I don't know the answer to that.
What was your question?
Are there classroom supply lists in addition to Oro Grande's?
Our
list?
Friday is by grade level,
Right.
and we get together as teachers, like my team of teachers, and we would say, okay, this is what, like our list for 6th grade and in 5th grade is in general what they would need to have a successful year. Not so much, they don't bring it in and give it to me. There's only, we just ask for the Xerox and the tissue paper and the Kleenex or the wipes, and those are the only 3 things that they would turn into me. But like to have pencils, but we just give them a list of, because they're taking 5 classes, these would be the successful needs. At the lower level, I know they turn them in to the teacher, and then the teacher like puts all the colored pencils in the box and all the, you know.
And to answer
scissors in
your
the
question
box.
too, that other was what individual teachers, like if they had something specific for their classroom that they would like, you know, I need a pillow for the corner or whatever it is, they had these yellow stickies, this one teacher did, she had them all on her desk, and then the parents could come in and say, oh, I'll donate that, and they pull it off. So that's just a over and above, but it's not the classroom list.
Okay.
And the Havasu Teacher, or the Havasu Business Teacher Alliance, Jack Hammett is doing a fabulous job in doing that for us. Like if somebody wanted pillows specifically, and they went through him, and then he puts it out to businesses, and then somebody will just go buy it, and then he gives it directly. I don't know if any of that's going through the district. I mean, you know, I know it's, I mean,
He doesn't want to deal with the district.
right. I just don't know if anything's being, like,
Well, we
put
actually
out
have-
there and acknowledged.
Yeah, we
because-
haven't necessarily published anything from the district level that I'm aware of. Although we did have, I think it was Dollar Tree that we had, they were collecting school supplies, which were then collected to provide backpacks for homeless students. And so those were at the district level for distribution.
I will say at the middle school, I'm not sure about the high school, but I think this answers part of your question, Nicole. So if I'm a science teacher, we use those small composition notebooks, so it'll be, because ours is more generic as far as for Thunderbolt, kind of the same idea. You're going to need pens and pencils and notebooks.
Right.
But then we say once your student goes to day 1 of school, they're going to know, okay, for science I need this. But they always know if you cannot, we got it. That's always the message. If, you know, if you can't, we got it for you. So it does get specific once you get to middle school.
And the high school does that
And
as
the
well.
high school, yeah.
Some of the, like for instance, honors English, they may need to bring a thumb drive because they're going to be expected to put all their, you know,
Or a
papers.
3-ring binder. I know math at the high school, there's a 3-ring binder, and they keep track of their notes in there.
Well, based on everybody's answer, I think it makes the point of what I'm trying to say is everybody's really unclear in the community. They're seeing all these donations, they're seeing all these lists. Parents are like, I got the list for the school, but I still need more stuff. So,
Maybe we could speak, yeah.
I don't
speak
know.
to it.
It might be
Yeah.
worth mentioning.
Absolutely.
And just the fact that the community's been really supportive
Right.
at coming up with this stuff, and all
Right.
these different groups that are putting together backpacks and different things, so.
And then for somebody who does want to donate supplies, who do they donate it to if they don't have a specific person or school? Because that's the question I got. Where do I bring the supplies? And I didn't want to just say, come dump it at the district office. I don't know what the process
We
is.
do get notices many times from the warehouse when there's things at the warehouse, and we'll get, the principals will get an email that says we've got this many backpacks filled up, you know, that kind of thing. We do get communication from the warehouse.
Patty Baser does keep track of the gifts and donations, so she's always that go-to person. She'll work with the warehouse to arrange for things to be picked up or distributed. So we want to honor those who are doing that donation, so that's kind of where they can always contact her. And she will reach out to the principals and the leadership team to kind of identify needs. So if they're specifically addressing it for homeless, and she'll reach out to Michelle Yuso's group that helps to coordinate that, and the individuals at the building that are responsible for that.
Okay.
It definitely could be more probably, which is what you're saying, I think, more streamlined, better communication, real specific, you know. Because sometimes we'll get a boatload of something that we're like, okay, you don't have a need for this. And then you feel badly for the person that don't, you know, you find a need, but,
Right.
So I feel like we could do better for sure.
So should I have her drop it off here or contact Patty first?
Contact Patty first, because
Okay.
depending on how much and what they have, it may be something that our warehouse will go and pick up and distribute directly to the site. If it's
Okay.
something that we need to store in a specific area, then they can arrange for that as well.
Okay.
And if it specifically is for homeless, it can only be used for homeless.
Okay. It wasn't specified.
And that is one area that I've learned that we are very good about. If the donation is designated, it goes to what it's designated for.
Right.
It's not on this report, but it'll be next time. Mudshark donated $500 to each of our schools for, initially it said school supplies, and after we talked about it, they said that it would be for each principal and school site to determine how they would spend that, because we do get a lot of school supply donations, so they might have other needs. But, you know, we were very specific. Do you want to designate?
Right.
So,
Good.
okay, so I will bring some things together on that.
One last thing that we should probably clarify, current year funding. We should clarify that we're being funded for that. Current year funding, it was such a major issue during budget.
Oh, current year funding.
Current year funding.
Current year funding is in place. However, any district that was a declining one actually received a dispensation for this particular year.
Right.
It is definitely in full force for next year, and it would be something we would have to deal with.
Right.
So,
But I'm just saying we should, as long as we're clarifying, because I got into a big fight with Regina Cobb because I thought we were not being funded for current year funding.
we are.
But I didn't know that.
Well,
Nobody that I
because
knew
we're
knew.
not going to be impacted this year.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right, but it is in place.
But
They did pass it.
It is, but they've funded it. They have, for us, this year.
Only for the decline
Right,
this year.
right. I'm just saying we should clarify that, because that was a big part of our budget, is we're not getting funding for that, and if we don't get Prop 123, well, everybody knew Prop 123 passed, but then current year funding was like, I had to search through the general appropriations bill to find the language after Regina Cobb told me that, oh no, we funded that. I didn't know that, so.
When I did my presentation, and I got it in my PowerPoint, that this year, we would receive, we could use our 100-day number from the prior year. We were not going to have the impact of the real-time funding, but that next year, definitely we would.
Is there any other questions? Anybody else? You have a comment? Go for it.
I actually noticed that on the agenda, it says I could say something, right, if it was related to school. Just thought I'd let you know, we had a great opening day yesterday. And I think we had a nice article in the paper from Thunderbolt, because we had a reporter there first thing in the morning. I think all of us were at school sites yesterday. I believe every single school site got visited yesterday. And at least everybody who I talked to said they were very pleased with how the first day went. We are up total about, 69 kids from where we were on the 100th day last year. So we're right about where we thought we would be, I think. Cool. It's not great.
Better to be up than down.
It is, and our elementaries are mostly down. Where we've gained is at the high school and the middle school. So Thunderbolt's up almost 100 kids from what was projected. So.
How's transportation going? Everything going along with that?
I'm sorry.
Have we had any issues with transportation?
No, not per se, but I have to tell you that the first week's always an adjustment because there are kids that might not have signed up that do sign up, so routes have to change. I know that our transportation supervisor had every bus packed, so if we had to readjust by adding kids, we were going to have to adjust the routes a little bit. So it was, it's always interesting. But after you get through the first couple of weeks, and it's not, it kind of tapers off. So it's always good. But it's been going really good.
I did talk to Bobby after school today, and he said it was well.
Yes, it was.
Right.
I don't have any comments.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
That's a good thing. No one said we haven't delivered our children.
No news is good news. Okay, do we have any other updates or announcements, Terry? All right, we're good, so we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Terry?
Roger Schmidt,
Yes?
Nicole Cohen,
Yes.
Joe Neveretta.
Yes.
Thank you.